We are now broadcasting. Yay! Woo! All right, so the YouTube recording has begun. I'll be inserting the bumpers manually because I'm still slacker and haven't figured out how to play them at the same time I'm recording audio.
Mm-hmm.
One day, I will figure that out. One day. Episode 100, I'll have it down.
Right. Hey, eventually these Google Hangouts just may become Twitch.
That's true.
They
just point directly to Twitch. Going out now, Mr. Dog, right now. Ah, dogs. Okay. So he wouldn't get out when I opened the door for him, but now he wants out. Too bad. He's stuck. Okay.
That's okay. My wife just caused some noise in the background.
She okay? Sounds hurt.
She's feeding the chinchillas. I think she's hoping that they don't join the podcast.
What is she feeding them? Or who is she feeding them to?
Small children. Souls.
Oh, see, that's it. Children are allowed.
It's dark.
Are they made with real Girl Scouts?
No, unfortunately they're not. They're made with fake Girl Scouts.
Oh, no artificial Girl Scouts. You just can't have that nowadays. Okay, I lost track of windows. Go there.
You had too many windows.
Okay.
You lost track of windows.
I'm afraid I'm
just going to go over with some post-it notes to Zod's house and just start posting windows.
Okay, are we ready? Too bad.
Yes.
Starting in 5, 4, 3, 2. Greetings, heroes. Welcome to Prepare for Combat episode number 11 for May 20th, 2014. Broadcasting from Central Alabama, this is Accuzod. Joining me from the middle of a desert out in Arizona is Alakaz.
This is Alakaz. Does anybody have some water?
Jasmine is still out on special assignment, so she won't be with us this week, but she will be back next week. Calm down. It's okay. Deep breath. Filling in for her, once again, we've got coming at us from the entire world of podcasts is Ro. Welcome, Ro.
Hello, this is Ro, and I figured I'd lend my mohawk to Jasmine so she'd have a spare just in case something happened to the first one.
Well, you guys look so much alike. You're almost identical.
I know.
It's kind of freaky.
I know.
So, you know.
The only difference is there's no puppy in the background. I'm disappointed, Ro.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, they're not allowed in the apartment complex that I'm in, unfortunately.
Oh, that's too sad. All right, so Alakaz, we'll start with you. What have you been doing in the last week?
So really loving Heroes of the Storm.
Well, good. I'm glad. It'd be horrible if you hated it. You'd be in the wrong.
So I mean, and we'll get to talk about it, but I got to play with a lot of friends this last week in Heroes of the Storm, to the point where I want to make Saturday night prepare for combat Heroes night. I'm just saying, Zod, we got to make that
definitely.
thing.
Absolutely. And we will take on all comers who want fast, easy experience. We will play.
If you want quick valor, come see Prepare for Combat.
We are not good, but we have fun. So.
No, but I mean, it's been a blast. I mean, it's been trying out new characters. It's been really leveling up, seeing what we've got, and I'm excited to see some new stuff come out. Really going after heroes. They've got a big patch coming up that we'll talk about tonight, and I'm excited to see it.
Absolutely. All right, Ro, what have you been up to this week? I ask as if I didn't know.
Right, so I haven't done a whole lot as far as the games I usually play, but when it comes to the game we're talking about here, Heroes of the Storm, I've actually been playing quite a bit of it. In fact, this past weekend, I helped out the Epic Podcast, which is a World of Warcraft podcast. I helped them do this charity live stream for the Child's Play charity. It's a charity that helps kids by giving them, games and stuff while they're in hospitals to make the experience a little bit more bearable. And we helped raise about $1,750 during the weekend. It was a 24-hour live stream marathon. We played all sorts of Blizzard games, including Heroes of the Storm, and you two were part of that when we were doing that.
And again, we gave away tons of experience during that.
Yes. I mean, the charity, it was not just about charity for Child's Play. We were giving people experience by the tens of thousands. It was unbelievable.
It was pretty awesome. And I knew you guys were doing it, but I'd forgotten that it was that night. And so I jumped in. You guys are playing. Like, oh, hey, let me jump on the throne, everybody. And they're like, oh, yeah, we're staying up for 24 hours playing this. I'm like, are you kidding me? But you guys did it. You guys hung in there for 24 hours, non-stop live streaming, game playing. And I got to say, if you're going to do a marathon for charity, my oldest daughter likes to go out and run 5Ks, and I think she's crazy. But this is a charity I can get behind. This is a marathon I can do. Play video games for 24 hours, not a problem.
Okay,
yeah,
so if we're going to do this...
I will admit that between 5 and 7 o'clock in the morning during that 24-hour period, I did crash for a 2-hour nap while someone else took over the stream. Because, I used to be able to do that in my teens and early 20s. I'm 38 years old. I can't do that anymore.
You're still a puppy. I've got years on you. So.
38? Are you kidding me? I'm not even 34, and I'm like, 24 hours?
Man.
Who are you kidding, man? I'm
trying
out.
to think how long ago was 38 for me. It was a few years ago, so...
But you know what, son? I am okay with us doing the whole Child's Play thing, but we have to have the right supplies. Energy drinks, Dorito.
Yeah, definitely. Lots of Mountain Dew. Quick access to the bathroom, I think, for...
Just has to deliver.
Let me ask, too, I also found out about this World of Podcast thing that you do. Can you explain what that is?
Right. So last year, there was this thing called World of Podcasts, which was an event held at BlizzCon that was organized by the people behind the Sundering Podcast and Epic Podcast and another podcaster from a show that's not around anymore. He's actually part of a Heroes of the Storm podcast now, too, called Xantar. But what it is it was an event where we had people from all sorts of primarily WoW podcasts, but also other Blizzard podcasts, Diablo and such, come in, and we had panels talking about different Blizzard games and such, and this was done on the night before BlizzCon. It was held at the Red Lion last year. Now, this one event kind of led to the World of Podcasts brand or whatever kind of becoming a little bit bigger, and they did a few other events over the course of a few months, had some like special interviews with people from top-end rating guilds and stuff. Fast forward to the here and now, World of Podcasts is planning an event again for BlizzCon 2014, and while I was just a participant in it last year, this year I am actually one of the organizers for World of Podcasts Anaheim. And we are already into planning for this, even though it's still like 5.5, 6 months away. We're already working on getting a venue nailed down. We're already discussing, finances and all that, sponsorships, partnerships, and stuff. And what we're planning to do is we just want to have a great experience where we have not only podcasters from all sorts of Blizzard podcasts, coming to one place, being on panels, talking about the different Blizzard games out there, but we're also going to expand upon what we did last year. Last year was kind of an experiment, and this year, right now the plan, this is tentative, but the plan is to have basically 2 rooms, one where we have the panels and such going on, which is done in a format kind of similar to what you may have experienced at Nerdtacular, although kind of like a 3 to 4 hour version of that, for those who are familiar with Nerdtacular. And then we're going to have a second room, which is more a meet and greet, where people can actually go meet and talk to podcasters and such, or just listeners mingling and stuff. We're going to have swag to give away and all that. It's just going to be a very fun event. And like I said, while there's going to be a lot of WoW presence there, we're definitely going to make sure that games like Hearthstone and Heroes of the Storm, which are becoming bigger and bigger, definitely have a presence at this event. And I hope that in some way, shape, or form you guys can be involved. I know that Alakaz, I think you said that you're not going to BlizzCon, but I do think we're going to try to find a way to make sure that people that aren't necessarily going to BlizzCon can in some way be involved in this too.
That sounds awesome. Well, it's true. We could just Google Hangout the whole thing and just stream live.
There you go.
Just set a tablet up where I'm supposed to be on the podium, and it will just FaceTime, So, Alicast, what do you think?
You get one of those little mobile robots they have now, where you can just kind of wheel yourself around and drive yourself around the physical environment.
You mean the Segways with the
Segways
tablet on them?
Yeah, the little Segways with tablets on them. Those are the new
we
things.
use those in my job to actually observe. So they will come into our classroom.
That's not freaky at all.
Wow.
What's that?
That's not freaky at all.
It's a little awkward when you look in the back of a classroom and it's like, I see somebody's face on a Segway. It's awkward.
That is awkward. Awesome. But that sounds really awesome, Ro, and I can't wait to see. We'll be streaming live for those of us who may or may not be able to make it there in person.
Right now, as far as the plans for streaming, that's still kind of up in the air. One of the unfortunate things about doing an event like this near and around the convention center is that internet costs inside hotel, convention rooms and stuff can be very prohibitive. So it's not entirely out of the question. It depends a lot on funding, sponsorship, partnership, the location that we plan to set on things. But if people can't listen to it live as it's happening, we're still definitely going to make sure that it is made available for anyone to listen to as soon as possible after the event is done.
Sounds awesome. I can't wait to see it before or after the event, and maybe I'll get lucky and even be able to be there for it.
That'd be awesome. I'd love to have you there.
Awesome.
Maybe make just a one-night trip down, one night in the hotel just to be on the panel and be like, I'm out!
There you go.
I know the BlizzCon's going on, but I'm here for the important thing.
And you know what? Honestly, even though I have a ticket to BlizzCon, I've got to say that I'm going to have more fun. For me, the fun and the excitement about BlizzCon is going to be more about things like World of Podcasts, all the parties, and just socializing and interacting with people outside the convention center. Because inside the convention center, everyone wants to listen to all the panels, go do all the things. Outside the convention center, you actually get to spend time with all the people that are just so love everything that's there.
Yep. Definitely a great social experience. Okay, let's move on to let's get back to Heroes of the Storm, because that's, what we do. So let's move on to this week's news. Pausing for the placeholder for the thing. Okay. This week, of course, being Tuesday, being Patch Day, there's a new free hero rotation. For those of you for everyone in the entire game, you get Diablo, Kerrigan, Nova, Stitches, and Terendi. I can never say that.
Tyrande.
Okay, see? There's nobody says it the same way.
Shaman
I've always
come on
heard it as
now.
Tyrande, so I just say it's Tyrande.
Okay, and if you've hit level 7, you also get the bonus free hero, Gazlo, and of course everybody gets Raynor, because that's the thing they started doing last week. Everyone always gets Raynor all the time, so I'm not even going to mention him anymore. So from now on, just know that Raynor is always free. So,
and as you could hear, the Chinchilla did want to comment on how we're pronouncing the name. It's letting us know that we're doing it
Don't make
wrong.
the Chinchilla mad. That's the first rule of podcasting.
Exactly.
I can tell you, I myself, I am a big fan of Kerrigan. I love Kerrigan. I think Kerrigan's a great assassin. I'm glad she's free because she's one I haven't bought yet. I'm looking forward to playing Diablo myself because I haven't played Diablo yet, and that's just such an iconic character in the Blizzard universe. I'll start with you. Ro, are you looking forward to any of these particular characters this week?
Actually, yes, I am. I'm looking forward to trying out Nova because I haven't tried her before when she was available as a free-to-play hero, and she costs 10,000 gold. Yeah, she normally costs 10,000 gold, so having the opportunity to play with her this week to see if she's an assassin worth throwing 10,000 gold at, I'm definitely all about that. And I'm tired of all the cheesy things that I see happen to me due to a Nova. I want to exact some payback.
Space lasers anywhere in the map. I love that. I actually paid money for Nova because she is awesome. Alicaz, how about you? You looking forward to any of these?
Nova as well, but more so Kerrigan, only because I have been on the receiving end of many a Kerrigan death kill. I don't know how she does it, but she just comes in and does some sort of Kerrigan Kung Fu style move and just takes me out.
Those claws that come up from the ground and rake you in, and
Well, it doesn't matter what I'm doing. I mean, I could be halfway across the map, and all of a sudden it's like, Kerrigan has killed. I'm like, really? What? She's not even near me. She doesn't even know that I'm existing, but she kills me.
All right, so make sure we know who we're playing this weekend when we do the Prepare for Combat round.
And I want to play Stitches.
Oh, I love Stitches. He's another one of the fun ones.
Stitches people.
By the way, I don't know if you guys heard the end of the last episode. I threw a little tag after the closing bumper. Mm-hmm. If you haven't heard it, you've got to go hear the Stitches is not people conversation.
Yes.
Of episode 10. That came out very well. All right, so that's the free hero rotation for this week. We will, of course, tell you what the free heroes are next week when they come out. But let's talk about the Q&A that Blizzard did today. They published developer Q&A number 5, if you're counting like I am. It was number 5. Now, it was actually a pre-recording, so it wasn't like a lot of live interactive. It was just kind of they let the video go and played. They had stored it earlier. Now, when I was watching it, because I was able to actually tune in and watch the entire thing end-to-end, I wasn't really impressed. It didn't seem like they put out anything, but then I went back, and I had been taking notes and live blogging the whole thing, which is up on our website, prepareforcombat.net, and there were just a ton of little nuggets of gold announced all throughout that. So I'm gonna cover a few of the things they brought up and throw to you guys to see what you think of them. Or 'cause I know you were both able to see bits and pieces, but not the entire thing. So there's a big patch coming up. There's a major overhaul because Blizzard's internal version, the one that they're playing in-house, is I think 100 revs ahead of where we are on the alpha test, and major changes are coming. One of the changes, of course, is Murky is finally being released to us, which I think is awesome because Murky is an amazing character. Are you either guys familiar with Murky when you talk about him?
I'm really excited about Murky because he's been described as a very different kind of hero, more of a hero that's going to play a harass kind of role, having a very short respawn timer and just some very unique abilities. It's definitely now. Did they classify him as a specialist? Because that's what he seems like to me. It's a very different kind of class to play.
He's got an ability that will throw out little eggshell bombs. They explode and they do low damage to players, but quadruple damage to buildings and structures. So I guess you would classify him as a specialist.
Yeah.
They have classified him as a specialist, so he does have that tag to it. And I also remember them saying, and I want to see if this is true. They were talking about you could kill Murky 1,000 times, but it only takes one of him killing you. So I think there's some sort of
he's got the ability where he plants an egg, and when you kill him, he doesn't go back to the start point and spawn. He spawns from that egg. As long as you've got an egg cast someplace, you'll spawn back from that egg within just a few seconds. And so you can just sit there and harass somebody over and over and over and just wear them down.
That's awesome.
That's going to be
that'll be nice if it doesn't count as a takedown type of idea, where, as long as that egg's up, there's no takedown.
Oh, yeah, so it doesn't count as a death for you? Just some sort of temporary respawn?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Of course, if they go kill your egg, then that's a takedown.
Yeah.
Works for me. All for that. They also announced a number of massive talent changes, and their description was that there were talent changes all across the board, period. I mean, they said there are way too many for them to get into. But a few of the ones they mentioned I thought were worth noting. Mirrodin gets more damage choices, gets more talent abilities that lets him do damage, does higher damage for less mana cost. I've played Mirrodin and I agree. His mana, you run out of mana instantly.
He burns through it quickly.
Yeah. So they realize that. Stitches gets some new slime talents. They put that ability in for him to generate slime when he gets hit. I've played Stitches a lot, and I've never even cared that he did slime. It was never a big deal. Apparently, they're actually adding talents to make the slime be more effective. And they're also adding talents for his hook. He'll be able to choose a talent that will let him grab allies with his hook to pull them out of danger, or grab 2 people at once. That's going to be pretty awesome for hooking people.
I like the grabbing allies with a hook. It kind of reminds me of the whole priest talent in World of Warcraft, where you're able to actually pull someone out of danger there. And in a game like this, where positioning is everything, that can be a very useful ability.
Well, and how many times during our Child's Play piece there, Ro, were you yelling at kind of me like, "Get back, Outcast! Get back!
Get back! Wait for your minions to come back."
But I wants to kill.
No, you're the only target in the cannon's crossfires. Get the hell back.
Yes, I lead the board in deaths just because I like to run forward like that. So I'll definitely need somebody playing Stitches to keep pulling me back. Sergeant Hammer, one of the big changes coming out for him, not a talent change, but they noticed, and if you guys have played him, his Sergeant Hammer, the big tank character, tank hero, the siege mode is on the Q button, which drops you down into big tank mode, and you start blowing things away within a area. And if you're like me, I hit that all the time. Q to me is just a natural harass, kind of quick, easy damage button. And they realized that, and they moved over to the E, so it's out of the way.
Well, didn't they also say they were extending the range on the massive cannon as well?
Yep, the longer you're in siege mode, the wider your range goes over time. So
that's very awesome. I mean, that'll especially help with. I could see some strategy in positioning Sergeant Hammer, putting her right behind the gate of your towers so that there's some relative safety there. But then as you stay in the siege mode right behind your towers, your range gets longer and longer, and you're kind of helping the push forward that way while still staying in a relatively safe position.
Well, or how unique would it be to have that behind that gate? You know, say Cursed Hollow, everybody goes for the Cursed token, but Hammer has now stayed behind that gate and can harass those towers the whole time, and you've now got to be like, do I stay after this curse, or do I let them get it to go after her? You know, you're now in a quandary of where you go.
We have to obviously see what is the cap on that range going to be, because I can't imagine it's going to be unlimited. I mean, I can't see Sergeant Hammer going into siege mode in your base, and then you give it 10 minutes and she can fire at the other palace.
No, we don't want another Nova. But
I love the idea of the expanding range, because every single time I played Sergeant Hammer and I'll drop into siege mode in front of a tower, I'm just out of range. I will totally misjudge the range that siege mode will give me, and I'm like, oh man, I gotta pick up, cool down, get closer. So I'm gonna love that idea. I'll just sit here, wait a second, I'll eventually get there. So. Well,
and I really think the range should almost be the difference between the two siege towers. So if I'm parked behind a siege, my first forward siege tower, I should eventually get to the point where I could hit their first siege tower.
That'd be a lot of range.
That would impress upon the other team to get your towers down before your towers get taken out from Hammer being in a relatively safe spot.
Exactly.
I predict if they make the range that wide, you're going to see Hammer in every single game on both teams, because that's powerful.
It's possible. If it gets to be that powerful, of course, they'll adjust it. But again, it's a lot of unknowns right now.
Yeah.
Well, and as I'm saying that's got to be max range to me. That's got to be, you've waited a long time for that to happen. Really to push the game towards an eventual close is what I'm looking at. Type of idea.
Right, and by doing that, by investing that time, that also means that you're not necessarily contributing on other areas of the map. So there is a give and take there.
That's true. You're hurting the experience gain for your team. So that does balance it out. I like that. Again, they said the massive talent changes for all the characters. Those were the ones they named specifically, but they said you want to read the patch notes for the rest of them. Mm-hmm. They also talked about the talent selector. You know, when you gain those specific levels and choose a talent, pops up, and the little window pops in the bottom. Apparently, people were clicking that in just the normal course of gameplay and hitting talents they didn't want by mistake. So one of the changes coming up in the patch is it will alert you that you can choose a talent, but it won't pop up the window. You'll actually have to click on your character to get it to pop up the talent selector, and it's a brand new talent selector window. There's a screenshot I've got on our website. I'm actually not impressed by the window itself. What do you guys think?
I almost want them to really allow you to do a talent selector before you go into the game. So it's you choose your path of where you want to go before you go in the game, and as you hit levels, it automatically pops for you. You don't have to worry and read and change and do that on the fly. It's happening for you in the game. Because what I find myself doing is a talent selector will now come up. I'm like, okay, what do I get? What do I get? What do I get? Where do I want to go? And Karakin has now killed me.
Yeah, I do like the idea of having the option to do that. I think you should have the option to do it either way, though, because something to keep in mind is what talents you choose could vary depending on the map. Also, like some maps may favor certain talents over others. Also, the composition of the other team. If the team happens to be very assassin heavy, that might affect your talent choices if you're, say, playing a warrior or a support. So being able to
Path of the Warrior.
right, well, being able to preset your talents, I think that would be a nice convenience to have, but I do think you should be able to do it either way. One thing, as a train goes by in the background, one thing I did want to comment, though, on this whole talent window, when I played Heroes of the Storm at BlizzCon last year at the demo over there, the one thing that I noticed when I was playing was that but at that point, the talents weren't appearing when you would level up. You'd have this little thing, you'd have the button in the lower left corner, and you'd have to hit that button for the talent selection thing to come up. That sounds like what they're trying to do again here.
It does.
And my concern about that, and I actually brought this up to the devs that were, walking up and by, and they were trying to get feedback from us. I said to them, hey, I mean, I get this, but I went for several levels without choosing any new talents. Yeah, because that's all the way in the lower left corner of your screen. When you're playing a game like this, your eyes are usually fixed on the dead center of the screen, maybe a bit to your left and right. You're not looking at that lower left area as often. So with the way things are currently, out of my peripheral vision, I can see that there's talents to pick. If they change it to this where you press a button for the screen to come up, that's going to be an issue again. They're going to need to try to make it clear in the UI, something like dead center when you level up, saying, hey, new talents are available.
Yeah.
They'll make it continually flash or something so you can draws your attention.
Maybe a reminder after 30 seconds, like if you haven't chosen talents after 30 seconds of them being available, maybe another reminder of, hey, new talents are available.
Well, and I think that's also like maybe even setting the predetermined talent run so it doesn't flash. But hey, now I go to the base, can I move my talents around if I want? Now I'm in a free area where I can bring up my talent menu, let me swap my talents around where I want to go. Great, now I'm back out in the field.
Right.
I think maybe that would be a smart idea.
Yeah, good. Definitely.
Okay, another feature coming in the big patch is a new mini-map in the bottom right-hand corner. The map itself is slightly larger than the one we have now, but it's not a big block square covering up the map. It's now transparent, and you only get to see the geographical areas of the map itself. There's no dead space. So it's theoretically both easier to use because it's slightly larger, and you can see through it, so it's not hiding part of the battleground. I'm personally, I guess I have to wait to see it myself. I have a screenshot that they showed during the presentation. Didn't quite grasp it in my own mind what that was going to work like. But.
Well, and I think Rose said it very well. In these style games, I'm looking straight forward or a little to the left, a little to the right. I'm not looking the right hand corner. I'm not straight ahead. That train. Ah, no!
Right, and one thing about the map, the way it's currently situated. Sorry, there's a little bit of lag, I think.
There's a bit of lag there.
I don't know if it's going or not.
No, go ahead, Ro.
I was just going to say that one thing about the way the current map is situated is I understand that block of space and cutting out the dead space is kind of an issue, but at the same time, it also kind of gives you more awareness that it's there. With the way that they're planning to do it going ahead, I can definitely see some advantages and disadvantages to it. I kind of don't like the monochromatic look of it, how it looks kind of all grayish. Mm-hmm. I think the maps that we currently have right now inside the block, it's more colorful, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very colorful.
Right. So I don't know. It's going to kind of be one of those things where I don't think I'm really going to have an opinion about it until I've actually played a few games with it and seeing, okay, is this really affecting how much I pay attention to map position of players or not. It's an idea, and it's very early in the process, and it won't surprise me if we see this mini-map change a few times before it goes, full launch.
That's true. Another feature they mentioned is hero rings, and these are rings that are around the base of every hero in the game. And I believe they're color-coded, so you know your team from the enemy team, and it actually has a little indicator showing you which way that hero is facing, which way they're moving. So when there's a massive battle and you have a whole bunch of little creeps gathered around you and all the other heroes, you see very clear circles around where each hero is. Personally, again, I'm going to have to see it. Apparently, they borrowed this from another game where that's very popular. So it sounds like something some people are going to love, and people like me probably aren't going to care because I'm just going to be dead anyway. So
it'll be pretty to watch.
I think it'll be important for the high-end players.
Yeah, for the people who really know what they're doing, who really need that indication, which way is that person running, because I got to aim my skill shot, that'll probably help them, being able to see the little indicator in the ring. Okay, last thing they talked about coming in the patch is they did some major overhauls to Illidan, Arthas, and Tyrael, respectively. Now, they went on for quite some time. I didn't get a whole lot of details on them because it would begin to explain something and then say, "Well, just wait to see the patch notes." We made him a little more stronger. Go see the patch notes. So, whenever these patch notes come out, we're probably going to do a 3-hour show on this. So,
this was a part that I'd actually heard, and one thing I heard them bringing up constantly is they wanted these changes to make those heroes a bit more true to the fantasy of the character. So they had mentioned, for example, for Arthas, they wanted to make him feel more like a Death Knight, so they were giving him Death Coil. That was one example.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
Well, and I'll say playing Tyrael. So I have Tyrael. I play Tyrael. He's a good tank, but I mean he's really a harassing tank. There's not a ton of DPS that you can pull out of him, and I think they really needed to overhaul him where as a warrior there's an ability for some DPS there, because otherwise for the first 5 levels you just feel like a detriment to the team.
Yeah, that's always the problem in these kind of games when it's a PvP environment and you're not taunting a mob off of the healers kind of situation like in WoW. That's the problem. The problem with playing a tank. How do you get in there? How do you really absorb damage from your teammates when the other team can just say, "Yeah, I'm going to ignore you," and go after your squishy, glass cannons?
Well, and I mean, Tyrael does have an ability where I can click on you and absorb so much damage from you, but so Sergeant Hammer's pounding on you, and I've got another mob coming after me. I'm dead long before you can really do anything.
Right. So again, that's when we'll have to see when the patch notes come out. When the patch notes come out, we'll go into more detail about what exactly they're doing. But those 3 specifically are being overhauled, and that was enough. They actually wanted to call those out. Now, there was a Q&A section where they took questions from the general public, and during that point, that's where I found some of the best nuggets of information. For example, they will be showing a way to show the individual achievements that someone does during a game, such as the number of kills you've done, and you'll be able to have a kill streak meter, and if you do enough kills, you'll get a bounty placed on your head for the other team. They will get some sort of reward for bumping you off and ending your kill streak. I thought that was kind of a nice touch.
Yeah, and I just really quick, that's going to play kind of interesting depending on what the reward on that bounty is. It also makes you wonder, will that make it detrimental for one team to have, a specific person focused on killing? It depends on how much of a reward the bounty system gives. It may be that this system encourages you to make sure that you spread the kills between your characters. I don't know.
True, like maybe giving away a disproportionate amount of experience for the other team, which would be very annoying.
Yeah, it depends. I mean, we don't know any numbers yet.
Yeah.
Now, another thing they announced that is coming out or at least that they are working on, is the ability to have clans and other social aspects around the game, which I'm personally very excited about because, as a member of AIE, which is a gaming community where we build communities around games, I'm looking very much forward to having a clan or community or guild or whatever they call it built around this game. So I was really, really excited to hear that.
And who asked the question about that, Zod?
I believe that was me, as a matter of fact. Yeah, that was me. So.
Awesome.
I'm now waiting for a document to come across the officer's desk, I guess, at this point.
Oh, no, I've already submitted that document. I did that a few weeks ago.
Oh, okay. Good to know. Good to know.
They've actually also confirmed they are working on additional maps. They had one of the listeners, or one of the tweeter people who send in questions, I'm not sure the phrase is there, said, ask the question, are you guys going to be doing more StarCraft type maps? Are you going to be doing anything that isn't the world of fantasy? And they confirmed, yes, they are working on maps that are entirely different in look and design than the current 4 we have now. The ones are more like StarCraft, more like Diablo, which I thought was kind of awesome. Now, I believe they said they're not going to launch. They're going to launch the game with the 4 we have now, right?
You know, I don't remember them saying if they were going to launch with any additional maps or not. But it's kind of interesting. If they are working on additional maps right now, and if this game isn't going to go launch and be live until, I'm thinking, early next year, it makes me wonder if 1 or 2 of these maps might end up being ready for launch.
That would be nice.
I could see there being a 5th map, because if you think about StarCraft tournaments, when there's a pool of maps to choose from, the maps can be very important in the StarCraft tournament. Because of the way that Heroes of the Storm is designed, where different maps really affect your gameplay, I can see tournaments in which the teams are allowed to possibly veto a map. So let's say you're doing a best 2 out of 3. If you have a map pool of 5, that allows each team to veto one of those 5 maps.
That's a very good point. That would be really a good part of the whole meta tournament game.
Mm-hmm.
Love the idea. Let me see. The last thing that I caught they were talking about is they are working on a way to display better endgame stats. As you know, when the game ends right now, the little window pops up showing you the base numbers of what you've done. But they're now looking and showing you more like total damage done for each person, total healing done for each person, which I think when I'm playing a healer, I'd love to know how I did as a healer, because you never really know. I think all you see now is number of takedowns, amount of experience, and that's pretty much it. I think deaths. I always score very well in the deaths. I'm very happy on that one. But so they are working on getting better.
What you're saying, Zod, is I will no longer be invited to play with other people, as the amount of damage done will be so low on my tunes that people are like, "Oh,
I was a warrior. I was a tank." Yeah, you need like damage absorbed or something like that. Some sort of, tanks. Yeah. So that's also what they are working on. But again, no announcements on release dates for any of those. Those are not necessarily part of the next patch. They're just confirmed to be working on. And the last thing that they mentioned, which really caught my eye, because I know we had discussed it as we were playing last weekend, the weekend before, they do, in fact, try to match up pre-made five-man teams with other pre-made 5-man teams, under the assumption, of course, that you're probably going to have more challenging games that way.
I would like them to stop doing that.
That's kind of a disadvantage for our groups, isn't it?
Yes, because we might actually be able to win a game if we get some people that, because we just like, let's have some fun. You see the other pre-made teams we're fighting, and they're like, all right, so Kerrigan, I need you to go in here. You're going to be supported by this person. We've got the healer coming in on the back end. What I want you to do is then the 2 people on the top and the bottom, you come into a flanking position. We're going to go right through the middle. We'll take out and it's just like, and we're going, look,
you're saying they communicate and have plans. We're just like, wee!
Right. And here, just one quick commentary I want to make about that is, I feel that Blizzard believes that the reason why they have a co-op mode there is so that they give people a place to practice against AI opponents and form that communication and get that teamwork going along. Basically, learn your teamwork skills in co-op and move into Versus. The only problem there is with the current way daily quests are designed and hero quests and stuff, it pushes and promotes people to want to play Versus mode to get that quest credit. I really feel that they need to, I don't mind not getting quest credit in practice mode, but even if it's at a slower rate of acquisition, I feel they need to find a way to make quest progress work in co-op mode so that people don't necessarily feel they have to play Versus all the time.
Play a specialist twice in Versus or 3 times in co-op for your daily quest.
Yeah.
That'd be a good idea. I could see that. That would definitely make a difference.
But I absolutely agree, because I know even when we played co-op, it seemed like they put the AI to its fullest extent at that point. We were playing expert AI, and we still struggled. I mean, we won a couple games there, but we also lost some games there.
Yeah, the co-op cheats. I just got to say that for the record. Yeah, totally cheats.
So you just wanted to put the little hat on people, and you were happy. they were mean. They weren't supposed to be mean. They killed me. All right.
one last topic for news this week, and it's one I am personally very excited about because I've noticed this happening. Blizzard made a post that says they are, in fact, actively banning people who are AFK and are reporting or proving themselves to be toxic in game. So if you are being one of those people, you will find you are not invited to play the game. And I'm not entirely sure if it's like permanently, even when it goes live. Sorry, too bad. But it's definitely pulling alpha access from people who are just standing there AFK. We mentioned last week. In fact, we actually mentioned last week that was probably something they should do. And then about 3 days later, they announced they were doing it. So I'm sure we had something to do with that decision. So
they are listening to the
Blizzard.
show.
They absolutely. So thank you, Blizzard. We greatly appreciate it. But how's the toxic or AFK behavior been for you guys last week? Have you noticed much of it?
Not too much. It's still there. I think I'm ignoring it more often now. I haven't seen as many AFKers, though. I can say that.
Yeah.
And see, I guess I'm looking for it with the show because I know it was a topic we were talking about. So there's sometimes where I'm just realistically paying attention to the chat and what's going on. And I know 2 or 3 games where I was just playing a versus by myself. I got a lot of, I'm on a noob team, I'm out, or I'm on a noob team and then you saw an AFK happen type of idea, or you guys are idiots, how can you noobs play this game? And it just was like, you know what, dude, really? Really? Instead of just, moaning about what's going on, help.
Yep.
Be productive.
I'm horrible, but I will listen to instructions. So if I'm doing something bad, shout at me and say, hey, go over here and do this. I'm like, okay, I'm on it.
Unless it's something incredibly stupid like, I want you to be cannon fodder.
I'll do that. I'll do that anyway. I need help not doing that because that's my job. I am cannon fodder.
Well, and I saw one person actually do that almost to a point of trying to help the other team, as they literally would stand there as cannon fodder. So they would walk up to the nearest turret area every time that they would spawn to be cannon fodder.
And feed the other team XP.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the match would be over quicker.
Yeah.
Interesting concept. Hey, let's just get this game over quick by dying really fast.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I guess that's how you're going to play it. You're probably not going to make a lot of friends, but...
No.
All right.
And that's why I've not asked anybody to be friends after I've played a versus match yet.
I have yet to do that as well.
I haven't done that myself yet either.
Besides, I have enough friends between you guys, AIE, the whole AI community. Got plenty. Got plenty.
Saturday.
Although I did, the one thing that really freaked, not only was I happy to hear that they were actually actively banning people who would display this behavior, but since there is no way to report people for this behavior, that means they're watching. So just be aware.
They're watching now while there's, a few thousand people online. My only concern is as we develop into later stage of, alpha and beta and such, it's going to grow from thousands to tenths of thousands to hundreds of thousands to potentially millions. What are they going to do then?
Yeah, they're going to have tools in place for it. There's just no other way around it.
Yeah.
So, all right, so that is this week's news. Went a little bit long, but awesome coverage there. Time to jump into Resource Spotlight, where we cover another place somewhere on the interwebs where you can find out more about Heroes of the Storm other than this podcast. Yes, there are places other than this podcast to find out about Heroes of the Storm.
I don't know what you're talking about, Todd.
This week, we actually want to point the spotlight at another podcast called Into the Nexus. They are an awesome podcast with one of their hosts is one of the longtime AIE friends, Willie Dills. Ro knows a lot more about them than I do. So, Ro, if you want to give a quick description of who Into the Nexus is?
Sure. The hosts there are, like you said, Willie Dills from the Instance and the Angry Chicken. He's doing all the Blizzard game podcasts lately now. So he's doing that. So is Garrett Weinzierl and Kyle Ferguson, who you guys, if you've played StarCraft and listened to a show called StarCast, might recall from there. And Garrett was actually played a few games with us during that whole Child's Play marathon thing. And I got to say, Garrett knows his stuff, and I was really impressed with his map vision and him seeing, okay, this is when we have to back off, this is when we have to go for this and that. And he put up with a lot of our noobish behavior in as mature a way as I've ever seen anyone handle it.
Yeah, he was great. So that's actually what made me want to give him a shout out, because he was great to play with. Hope we get to play with him again in the future. So if you want to follow the Into the Nexus podcast, they are at amove.tv. That's AMOVE.tv/ITN for, I guess, Into the Nexus. You can also follow them on Twitter at ITNcast. All right, so with that, we will move on to our next segment, which is our Hero Spotlight. Al, who are we going to talk about this week?
Well, so I actually made a mistake this week, and I'll be the first one to own up to it. And I put the Witch Doctor in, and we'd already covered the Witch Doctor.
But he's that good.
You just like the Witch Doctor that much.
I do, but you know what? I was looking at our free heroes this week, and we wanted to do a support cast, so I thought, Gazlowe! Hey!
Gazlowe. He's a specialist, isn't he?
Yes.
He is a specialist, and we are on our specialist rotation this week.
Excellent.
So Gazlowe is actually who we're looking at, and I figured it was kind of apropos, because maybe talking about him right now would get some of our listeners to try him for free this week.
All right, so describe him. I know he's a goblin, right?
Right. So he is he's supposedly, I do believe, the chief engineer. He's also whatever the goblin, I can't think of it now. Ratchet? Not Ratchet. Where is it?
Yeah, he's the boss of Ratchet. Ratchet is a goblin town in Kalimdor in World of Warcraft.
Thank you. Yep, so he is the boss of Ratchet.
That's where he is, okay.
So really unique, but he's a specialist, and he's not really doing damage out there. He is dropping stuff. So if you've ever played Team Fortress 2,
yep,
I can think of him almost as the engineer.
Yep, because he can drop turrets on the ground, and that will sit there and shoot people for you.
Yep, rocket turrets, and you actually can take talents to make your turrets last longer or drop more turrets or what it is. It's really unique. Once your turrets die, you can actually pick up pieces of them to help you build, to lower the cooldown of dropping your next turret. So kind of a unique idea.
Yeah, I know. I played him once, and I really kind of liked the idea. I just throw a turret into a bush or something and then run off. And he can sit there and shoot the enemies without me having to take damage.
Well, I also think of it like on the Dragon Knight boss, or Dragon Knight map. I'd actually drop a couple turrets right around the shrine after I grabbed it. And that I kind of sat there, and that would actually hold people off from being able to take out the Dragon Shrine, giving our team a chance to get the Dragon Knight to actually fight for us.
Yeah, that's definitely an idea. From my little experience with Gazlowe, I'd have to say one of the most fun parts of playing him was the heroic ability he has, Grab-a-Bomb.
Yes.
It's basically this big damage effect that pulls enemies toward the center of it and just blows them up. It sucks them in, blows them up.
So he has the turret, which we're talking about. He also has the Death Laser, which is spelled differently.
Really brand names.
You can start it off. So it's a dual click ability. You click it once, and it puts out the line of where it's going to go. But the longer before you click it a second time, the further it goes and the wider it goes. So it can do additional damage.
Right, it charges up over time.
Charges up. You could do a really quick shot of it, or you could wait out. And I've done that to turrets before, where all of a sudden I'm taking out half of the actual minions and part of the turret behind them.
No, is that
makes
meant for
me
turrets?
think of Mega Man.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, because I've tried using that on heroes. I've noticed it doesn't do a lot of damage to actual players, but I never thought to do it to a turret, which, being a specialist, probably is what I should have been doing it to, because that's kind of their strength.
Right.
Also, the Explodium Charge, which is unique. That one you have to kind of be a little bit tactical at, because you put down an area where a rocket's going to drop in, type of idea. So you put down a circle, it counts down to 3, something drops, and then finally explodes.
Gotcha.
So you kind of got to know where people are going, what's going on, what's happening.
That's one of the skill shots. You got to know where people are going to go. You can't just nail them directly.
Exactly.
Not good.
And then you've already talked about the Gravo Bomb 3000, but there's also the Robo Goblin. So you've got the heroic ability of the Grabo Bomb, but the other heroic you could choose, and I did actually choose the Robo Goblin. It's really cool. You transform into a huge hulking robot goblin and just do tons of damage. So your attacks deal 250% damage to minions, mercenaries, and structures. So
sounds like the ideal thing to use for a push.
Exactly. So, like, especially you get in Cursed Hollow, you pop that, watch Gazlowe go.
I always forget the specialists are really designed for taking down minions and structures, and I always try to take out heroes with them just because they look cool. Because I don't think you mentioned it, but Gazlowe has a giant robot on his back that he's controlling, which is such an awesome animation. But it doesn't seem to kill him.
He can do stuff. He can do stuff in, like, the turrets and those things can hurt heroes. But he's really meant as that specialist where, okay, I'm taking, Zod, you're on whoever you're on, and you're taking the heroes, you're blinding them. Gazlowe can sneak in behind and now start taking out the structures. I even love having the turrets there because I might have to run away from the turrets because I'm the only target. But I drop my turrets inside the range. They now start taking out the buildings where I don't even have to be there.
It sounds too much like strategy.
You do have to
like
think
running
with
things.
You do have to think.
Not my strong point.
Right. So really fun. Now the only thing I will say is there are no skins yet with Gazlowe. So there's
how do you skin something that's a goblin carrying a giant robot on his back? That would be kind of hard to skin.
I could see them doing a StarCraft-themed skin where the robot resembles something more from the StarCraft universe. I just don't know what that would be yet.
I could also see it as he's carrying a giant teddy on his back instead of the robot.
All right, Blizzard, did you hear that? Because I want that now, right now.
There's all sorts of crazy things they could do. Maybe he's got, he switches to, giant steampunk style, whatever it might be.
Gotcha.
Doing some different stuff.
Yeah, steam-based robot. All right. Yeah. Anything else to cover on Gazlowe? Because we are running out of time.
Nope. That's really Gazlowe. Try him out this week. See what you think. Send us. Let us know.
Absolutely. All right, so I'm going to call that our show for this week. I want to thank everyone for listening. And, Ro, thank you very much for joining in to take Jasmine's spot. Jasmine, of course, we'll be back next week.
Hey, it's always a pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
All right, so if you, listening to the show, would like to follow us on Twitter, you can do so at Prepare for Combat, and that's with the number 4. You can email us at podcast@prepareforcombat.net. You can tune in and watch us do this live or check out our news feeds, which we do throughout the week for just general news topics, at prepareforcombat.net. And, of course, you can subscribe to the show on iTunes and Stitcher. So, Ro, as our guest, let me go to you first. Where can people find you on the interwebs?
I'll give you 2 places. The easiest is to find me on Twitter at Rowow, spelled R-H-O-W-O-W, because my first love for Blizzard is World of Warcraft, hence that name for Twitter. You can also find my podcast, which covers all other Blizzard game podcasts, including Heroes of the Storm shows. It's called Realm Maintenance, and you can find that at realm-maintenance.com.
Realm-maintenance.com. I cannot speak. Words are hard. Realm Maintenance. And if you haven't tuned into Realm Maintenance, if you're listening to this show, you've tuned into Realm Maintenance. There's just no way you haven't. For some crazy reason, you haven't. You've got to tune into Realm Maintenance. That is the clearinghouse for all the awesome Blizzard-related podcasts. Alakaz, where can people find you on the interwebs?
So obviously you can find me on Twitter at Alakaz. That's A-L-A-C-H-A-A-S. I do have to spell that because otherwise no one would find me. As well as you can always check me out on my other podcasts that I do. We do that every fortnight. Yes, I'm bringing the word back, folks.
Fortnight? That means every 4 nights?
No, that's every
Monday, Tuesday,
week.
Wednesday.
That's 2 weeks. Every fortnight. Ooh.
Nah, can't figure that out.
And it's Geektopia. And so we have actual Ben or Alanya from Azeroth Roundtable as part of a co-host there. And we have Kim or Lita from Behind the Avatar, Control Out WoW, also on there. We just talk about everything geeky. And we're hoping to have our special guest this week.
That was actually, I've tuned into many a Geektopia, and that's also a wonderful podcast. All right.
So, Zod, where can they find you?
to find me right here, actually. This is where I always am when I'm not doing the AIE podcast, but just follow me on Twitter at Acuzod, ACUZOD. And so now you are prepared for combat. All right, enough pause there. And I'm going to stop the recording. Thanks, everybody watching this at home or abroad.
Thanks, everybody.